Good evening and welcome to Project Tailwind's AI Product Management Masterclass. In this session, we'll explore the exciting world of AI-driven product management. You'll learn what AI product management entails and how it differs from traditional product management roles. Our speakers here will guide you through the essential learning part to become an effective product manager. This would be an hour-long session with a 45-minute-long understanding series and a Q&A session as well.
I'm currently
Stay
building
tuned.
products powered with AI. I have about 18 years of work experience building solutions for businesses across different verticals. I have also worked as a practitioner where I have managed a large data science team. I think one of the things that I have learned in the last 18 years is that yes, AI is a complex beast, but I think we should all strive to simplify it. Right? I think that's what excites me to be part of Project Tailwind, where our effort is to simplify the AI concepts for non-technical working professionals. And glad to be part of this session. Okay, so we'll start with this slide today. So see, this slide is meant to give you a picture of where we stand today in the space of AI, right? So we see that on one side, AI is advancing rapidly, and there is a lot of buzz around it. People are curious and eager to learn about AI. However, you can also see the adoption layer is very low, right? So you see there is a huge gap between the AI advancement and adoption. Now, what I mean by AI adoption is that it's basically how successfully businesses are able to adopt AI and get benefit out of it, right? So can we move on and bring everything on the slide? Yeah. So I just want to share some perspectives and some data points here, as you can see on the right hand side. While businesses are striving to adopt AI and realize the business value, you also see that you also see that there are a lot of AI incidents being reported over a period of time, right? So number of incidents are only growing. Now, what I mean by AI incident is these are some of the I would say the issues related to AI, whether it could be a biasness issues or whether it could be the security issues, data privacy issues, right? All these issues are being reported and surfaced over a period of time, and the number is only growing, right? The other data point is if we look at what are some of the trends in terms of skill sets, which is in demand, we still see skills related to computer and mathematical skills are still in demand. And that's a good news, right? Can we move to the next slide? One of the reasons for lower adoption, right, is also due to many such reasons, right? A lot of companies report telling that the lower adoption is because of lack of data, lack of skill sets, lack of data privacy issues, security issues, etc. But the lower adoption is also because of how organizations are thinking to implement AI, right? Just want to explain that with this case study. So Coolblue is an e-commerce company based out of the Netherlands. So I just want to give you this case study to help you understand that how they try to solve a problem, right? So can we move to the next slide, please? So one of the typical use case, I mean, the problem that this e-commerce company has is the higher return rates, right? So obviously, it's a standard problem within e-commerce, but they had more than average uh, return rates. So they wanted to reduce the return rates. So they want to solve this problem using data science. They want to solve this problem using ML. So they approach to their data science team, and the data science team discusses this, they analyze this, and they come up with a solution to calculate the expected rate of return for each product, right? So this could be a early indicator for all the products, which can give a probability of returns. And by having this expected rate of returns in place, probably the business can proactively take some measures. So that is the thought process of the data science team to build the solution. And they take about 18 months to build this solution. and then implemented, etc. But the impact of this, the adoption of this is really low, right? So I'll explain what happens behind this case study. Um, can we go to the next slide? So the person Marnis, who's an AI product manager, he joins this organization and then looks at this project, and then first thing that he realizes that everybody's confused on this project, right? And then he starts to identify what might have gone wrong in this, right? So first he look at the problem statement itself is framed incorrectly, because the approach to solve the problem is based on the data, right? Based on what data is available. It's not really intended to solve the customer problem because of which they are returning the items, right? And then, of course, it is centralized data science team is a decision maker for all the methods and approaches in this case. And as I said, the solution was were too focused on coming up with this metric and thinking that this metric will solve the return problem, etc. So this is what he observes. Can we move to the next slide? And then what he does is that he try to look at the problem very differently, right? The first thing that he does is that he go and talk to the stakeholders, try to understand what could be the reason for the customers to returning the product, and then he come back with this approach of, and then he reframe the problem statement that yes, we need to build a new solution that is more directed to customer satisfaction, right? So there were certain products, there were certain items for which there is a sudden decline of customer satisfaction, and then he wanted to focus this solution only on those products, only among those customers, right? And that has helped this company to reduce the return rate drastically, right? And not only that, what happened in this company is that they have also repositioned, changed the culture of an organization to base their data driven decision differently. um, that's one thing. And then they have decentralized the data science team, and they have started involving stakeholders more into solving this business problem. Can we move on to the next slide? So what this example teaches is that the approach, what was lacking in solving this problem was a product mindset. See, typically, if you look at how AI models are built today, right? So first and foremost, yes, the problem is identified, the problem is stipulated, the use case is identified, and then the data science team come up with a business plan, and then they will access all the data, they will prepare all the data, and then they will train the machine learning models, deploy them, etc. And then this pretty much takes about 3 to 9 months, right? See, some of the essential issues are the questions that you can ask in this particular approach is at every stage. First and foremost, how do we know the requirements are correctly addressed with AI? Maybe that problem can be solved without using AI, right? So how much we are sure that AI is really required here? The second question could be that how do we know that the model, now let's say if we know that yes, AI is the best method to solve this problem here, then how do we know what model will be useful to the end user, right? How do we know what data is required to train the machine learning model? How do we know that what is a way to deploy the model so that it becomes useful to the end user, right? So basically, it lack the product mindset, right? So what is a product mindset here? The product mindset is that a problem should be approached from the end customer perspective, from the end user perspective, not really from a data perspective, right? So that is what is lacking today in most of the AI ML implementation. Can we move to the next slide? So yeah, this is the statement, right? Even the best AI will fail if it doesn't provide unique value to its user. Okay, unique is very important here. Value is very important here, right? So let's move on to the next slide. So what we're going to focus on this slide is that yes, this AI product management as a role is becoming extremely popular over a period of time. I have worked myself as an AI product manager for the last 7 years. So I just want to give my perspective of what is the role of an AI product manager, right? And then the second thing is how one can learn to become an AI product manager. And then lastly, I want to share AI lifecycle. That is something that has worked for me. That is something that has worked with all AI experts who are part of Project Tailwind community. All right. So that's the plan for today. I hope you all are okay with this. Let's proceed on that. So first and foremost, what I want to answer is like, okay, how are AI products different from any digital products? I think seeing this is more important before we even look at what is the role of an AI product manager. Right? Okay, let's go to the next slide. So if you see digital products today, right? I mean, any product where there may not be any AI feature or capability today, right? So see, AI can be implemented even at a feature level, at a very specific feature level, focused to solve a very specific problem, right? So this is the most basic integration of AI into digital products. So where you identify a feature and then you try to solve very focused or a very specific problem. Just an example is a Domino's app, right? So here the AI ML integration can be just to come up with more personalized recommendation based on location, based on user profile, based on season, etc. So here the AI is enabling only a critical feature, not really solving a bigger scope, right? So that's one type of AI powered product. The other type of AI powered product is that where AI is a core of the product, but it is solving a bigger problem, right? For example, Google search engine. So here, it's ML is in the heart of this product, right? Because it is driving the business for Google by recommending more suitable, relevant ads to each user based on the search queries, based on the user profile, etc. So here, AI is powering the core capability of the product, right? So this is the next level of AI integration into the digital products. Now, lastly, AI can also be integrated for the broader purpose, for the broader need, right? It could be an AI application, it could be an AI platform where a user can build their own custom applications, right? The idea of showing you this is within a digital product, the AI can be even in a smallest feature, but it can also evolve to solve more problems over a period of time, right? As the digital products today can become future AI products. That is what the slide signifies, which also means that today's product managers who are managing these digital products needs to be transformed to AI product managers. Right? Now let's look into what the role of an AI product manager looks like. Can we go to the next slide? So let's first look at what is the role of a general product manager, right? And so any product manager today, they mainly focus on these four areas of work. One is let's say customer orientation. So here a product manager basically work with users, work with customers, try to understand their requirement, uh, and then prioritize the requirement, etc. And then the next part is product execution, where he collaborates with the engineering team, a user experienced a team, design team, try to build the features and release those features on time. The third one is the team collaboration. A product manager collaborate with diverse teams, not just with engineers and developers, but also with marketing people, customer success people, to ensure that the product is delivered successfully and used in the right way by its end users. And then, of course, he will work with the business stakeholders, the top management, and then try to generate business from this product by aligning the product strategy with the business goals. So typically, any product manager would focus on these four areas of work, right? Now, how is AI product manager different from any product manager? So what I would say is that AI product manager is essentially the same product manager. He's expected to execute the same responsibility, expected to focus on the same four areas, but there are a few more things that he needs to care about. Right. So let's look at what are those additional things that an AI product manager really focuses on. One is compared to any product manager, AI product manager manages more stakeholders. Right. Can you go to the next slide? What I mean by more stakeholders. So if you look into the slide, of course, any AI product manager will work with all these different teams and departments, right? But particularly an AI product manager will work with extended engineering team, right? Not just the developers, not just the architects, but Now, an AI product manager is expected to work with data team, with IT team. And then he's expected to work with data scientists. He's expected to work with ML engineers. He also expected to work with AI governance and AI compliance teams. Right. So what does it mean, right? So it means that it results in higher coordination, and then lead time is going to be higher in every releases, right? So let me explain this a little better. When an AI-PM works with data, his responsibility is to make sure that he's sourcing the right data set. Uh, his his responsibility is to make sure that there is an accurate data which is being used to train machine learning models, right? The data doesn't have any sort of biasness. Data is representative to the customer base, etc. So this is what he will do, engaging with data and IT teams. And then he will work with data science teams to make sure the models are built in the right way, right? The models are trained in the right way. There is a right kind of performance uh, uh, which is focused while training ML models, right? And also he has to make sure that the model doesn't have any kind of biases, any kind of issues that might impact the user experiences, right? Lastly, once the models are built and trained, he needs to work with ML engineers to make sure that the models are integrated in the right way, so that the end user can adopt them easily, right? So all these additional coordination, it basically results in higher lead time, which means that he has to work hard to make sure that the product features are released on time, especially with AI. So that's the one aspect where AI-PM has to work hard. Now the other aspect is that more ambiguity. What we mean by that is, compared to any product manager, compared to any digital product, AI products tend to be more ambiguous. What we mean by that is, if you go to the next slide, see, typically AI and ML models or the outcomes of AI ML models are probabilistic in nature. So what we mean by that is, whether you are using AI to come up with any prediction or any recommendation or anything like that, those outcomes are based on the model which is learning from the data, right? And data is very dynamic. It will change over time based on the market dynamics and user behaviors, etc. And the accuracy can never be 100%, right? A best model can give you 90, 95%, 97% accuracy, but still there is a 2 or 3% inaccuracies in uncertainties, right? And then these outcomes, which may look accurate today, it may be become accurate over a period of time, right? Because the outcomes are very dynamic in nature, right? And sometimes these outcomes are not explainable, right? If the model is making incorrect predictions or incorrect, if it is taking incorrect actions, there is no foolproof way of understanding uh, why the outcomes are coming this way, right? It's not incomprehensible. It is incomprehensible. It is not explainable. Lastly, these outcomes are very risky as well, right? Because some of these outcomes can be biased to certain section of people, right? So outcomes has all these different uncertainties, and as a result of that, the AI models or the AI features in any product becomes completely somewhat ambiguous, right? So what does an AI product manager do in this sort of in this sort of situation? So he needs to get proactively involved in the development process. It's not like he can just let the data science team build the models in their own way, but he has to be proactively involved in the development process. He has to be part of all the decisions that data scientists take in developing the models, right? And on top of that, he's expected to stay updated on the latest trends in AI, what kind of advances are happening in the AI. As we have seen that AI is advancing rapidly. So any decisions that we have taken to use a particular technology of AI on solving the problem, it can become irrelevant after some time, right? So it's important that AI product manager stays relevant, stays on top of the AI trend, so that he can make more informed decisions and adapt to the strategies over time. So that so of course, the one thing that AI product manager also has to be cautious is, let's say he has been part of the development process. He has looked at every aspect of development. etc. But that means end of the day, he has come up with a more optimal AI solution. But what is important to note here is today it can be an optimal solution, but tomorrow it can become obsolete, right? Hence, it is important to monitor this model over a period of time so that you can keep this model sustainable, right, over time. So that's also the responsibility of an AIP. So lastly, AIPM needs to be more accountable, right? What we mean by accountable here is the accountability can come with managing the risk related with AI models. Can we move on to the next slide? So see what could be the AI risk? The AI risk could be, let's say there is a biasness, right? So you get differentiated outcomes to certain section of users in certain locations, etc., compared to other users in other locations. Or it could be data privacy issues, or it could be the issues related to representativeness, right? Let's say, for example, you have trained your model taking highly underrepresentative data, uh, and then you're applying it on general population, right? So all these are potential risk in AI. And then not just that, there could be vulnerabilities in AI models. AI models can also be attacked, just like how any software can be attacked. An AI model can also be attacked and corrupted, right? So there are this kind of risk as well. So in the life cycle of AI model development, these risks can come at every stage, right? So hence, it is important not just to build the best performing model, but it is also important to make sure that those models are risk controlled, risk managed, right? So this and how this can happen only if AI product manager addresses these challenges from the beginning, right? He cannot wait the risk to happen and then he takes corrective actions. These some of these risks can be prevented by monitoring these kind of risk at every stage of the development, right? So one thing could be that he should ensure that data is sourced ethically, pre-processed correctly, and then the models are trained using right kind of algorithms, right? And then models are trained with tested libraries. Models are built with tested libraries, so that there is no vulnerability for adversarial attacks. And then on top of that, the models needs to be continuously monitored so that these risks don't reappear once the models are deployed, right? So all these decisions has to be taken by AI product manager. Hence, AI product manager is also accountable for all these different types of risk. Can we move to the next slide? Finally, what I would say is that AI product manager will have higher responsibility compared to any product manager as a result of all of this, right? Now, if you see the can you go to the next slide? If you see the same diagram that we have seen before, where we have seen the four different areas where any product manager would focus, an AI product manager now has an additional area, right? That he needs to focus. That is called AI management. I'm just calling that as AI management, and it has various different aspects, as you can see. And then these things can also vary depending on your level of experience as a product manager, right? So as a product leader, it is your responsibility to identify right opportunities for AI. It's also your responsibility to make sure that the models are built in the right way, they are ethically compliant, responsible AI practices are in place, right? As a product leader, it's also your responsibility to make sure that you act as a bridge between your technical team and your business stakeholder team, because the business stakeholders will have certain business expectations, whereas your technical team will face certain challenges. So, as an AI product manager who understands both the business expectations as well as challenges with technology, you should act as a bridge and try to fill this gap between the technology and the business expectation. Lastly, of course, it's your responsibility to make sure that the models are built in the right way, they are monitored it, and then you're able to ensure that the end user is able to use these AI features in the right way, and they are able to adopt them. Right. So just to sum up, along with the four areas, AIPM also has to focus on management includes development to deployment and then monitoring these models to ensure that it delivers the business value. Can you move to the next slide? Yeah. Now the question is, how can one learn to become an AI product manager, right? So see, before we go into this, it's very important to understand, as we have seen, there are various different aspects that AI-PM is more responsible compared to any product manager. There are certain challenges also, right, for an AI product manager. Just to recall, the challenges could be the AI risk, right, that can potentially impact the user experience. The second challenge could be that the ambiguity in the AI models, which can directly impact the user trust, and they may not adopt this, they may not use these features, right? And that will potentially lose a lot of revenue. The other risk could be that the business is expecting faster results, but there are technical challenges, right? So AIPM needs to handle this challenge by uh, by bridging the gap between the technology and business expectations. So while all these challenges exist, of course, there are several opportunities also, because now you can solve the problems which you using AI which you couldn't have solved before, right? You can bring innovations in the product. You can make your product differentiating from the competitors. You can enhance user experience by integrating AI into the products, right? So there are opportunities, there are challenges as well, right? So I think when one is thinking about learning to become an AI product manager, it is very important to make sure that you are becoming capable to manage those challenges and then leverage those opportunities. Can you move on to the next slide? Now, what does that learning path looks like? Now, based on my experience, I have been able to put these 8 steps for an AI product manager. The first thing that is essential is that yes, he needs to learn the principles of product management, the fundamentals of product management, right? And that is not there's no exception to that, right? He still be able to focus on those 4 different areas that we have talked about. Now, on top of that, he need to be very familiar with the technology ecosystem of AI, right? He should know things about what are some of the services out there, who is providing what kind of services, whether it could be cloud services, whether it could be database services, what kind of programmings are out there. He don't essentially need to use them, but he need to be familiar with this ecosystem, right? And then second is, sorry, the third one is that he needs to be well versed with some of these ML, deep learning and reinforcement learning concepts, right? Now, again, here he doesn't need to code and build these models himself, but they need to carry an intuitive understanding of some of the fundamentals of machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, LLMs. Like today, the LLMs also is important to be covered in this. Now, once you know the fundamentals, and then the next thing is that you need to know what are the best practices of building AI models. Keep in mind that this technology is new, right? Still, a lot of people are figuring it out that what is the best way to use this, right? But there are some companies, there are some individuals who have been able to successfully integrate AI into the products and generate huge business. So it's important to learn those best practices and continuously learn that best practices, I would say. So what I mean by best practices is, based on my experience, what I have seen is that it falls into this 4 different questions, right? One is what AI ML can do and what it cannot do. What are its pros and cons, right? As I said, still this technology space is evolving, right? Today, whatever could be the disadvantage of any particular technique or a technology, tomorrow, uh, uh, as it is evolving, it can become much better in that space, right? So it's important to keep an eye on what are some of the drawbacks, what are some of the pros and cons of AI/ML technologies today, right? The second one is, will you be able to map these capabilities of AI with the user problem and then discover the opportunity? So what are the best practices of identifying a unique opportunity uh, based on today's AI capabilities, right? So that you are able to rationalize like why you are using AI to solve a specific problem. You need to have a very strong reason for it. So you should be able to answer that why question, right? So you need to learn these best practices also to decide when to use AI and when to avoid using AI. If you have decided to use AI, what should be the performance thresholds? What should be the performance criteria that you should keep forward? And how much tolerance of AI risk that you should have, right? And lastly, that how to develop these models to enhance user experiences. How can you right? Design a user-centric AI solutions, right? So these four questions are becomes necessary whenever we talk about the best practices, and believe me, this is evolving, right? That's why it's important to keep a watch on this. Then the next thing is, I think if you know these four steps, you should collaborate with data scientists, or you should collaborate with community people and start running some AI projects, right? So that you get the first-hand experience of the challenges that we have talked about, the first-hand experiences of what benefits that AI can provide, etc. I think this experience is important. It doesn't mean that you need to code yourself. You can collaborate with data scientists, you can collaborate with practitioners, and then try to run some proof of concepts, try to run some AI projects. Right? So with that, once that experience is there, then I think you will be able to understand other people's perspective. If people are able to give perspectives on how to integrate AI, how they have been doing it AI, right? So now you are in a position to understand that better. So that's when I suggest people to subscribe to some blogs, subscribe to some YouTube channels, and then try to learn how others are doing this and try to be on top of the trend. Right. And then, of course, see, this point number 7 is very important because it is very important to talk to people, right? Talk to experts. Because as I said, I'm repeatedly saying that AI is evolving very fast, right? It becomes extremely difficult to keep yourself on top of everything, right? But others might be doing it. So it's important to be part of the community, part of the AI practitioners community, part of AI product managers community. Talk to those people who are successfully able to integrate AI, talk to those people who are struggling to integrate AI and learn from their experiences, etc. And I think finally, on your own products, you should try and discover opportunities to integrate AI, right? Or if you are not a product manager, you are trying to learn AI product management from the scratch, then I think you will be ready to seek jobs into AI product management. Let me move to the next slide. All right, I'll take a pause here to see if you guys have any questions. Uh, Gunjan, please take any questions if there are any questions on the chat. Gunjan, can you hear me?
So we'll start with the Q&A session
You're
now.
on mute, Gunjan. Not able to hear you.
Are you able to hear me now? Yes. So we have a few questions and the
Hello?
rest. So we can get more questions in the Q&A sessions, and if you have more questions, you can drop it in the
Gunjan, I'm
Q&A
not able to
box.
hear
So
you.
I can, are you able to hear me now? I am actually getting a yes from attendees over here. Can you please check
Yeah,
your connection once?
yeah, please go ahead. I can hear you now.
Yeah. So the first question which we have over here is, uh, how do you determine whether a problem is suitable for an AI solution or not?
Yeah, I think this is a very important question. I think the answer to that question probably will take another masterclass, I would say, right? So there are some best practices, but just to answer it in brief, one of the approach that I follow is that I try to list all the different user problems on one side. Let's say, let's take a whiteboard. I will list all the user problem on the one side, and then I list all the different capabilities of AI, all the different tasks that AI can do well on the left hand side, and then I try to map them basically, right? So there could be some user problems for which AI may not be suitable, because there are risks, there are issues. You may know that user may not use it, right? So you try to map them, and if you're able to successfully map them, then there is an opportunity. Okay. Now, for the mapping, there are a lot of different questions that you should ask for yourself. One is you should ask that, okay, if I try to automate this particular task for a user, will the user be happy, right? Will he be, I mean, is the task, first of all, you have to see whether the task is really mundane, is the task is really boring for user, and is he really looking for an automation using AI, right? If the answer is yes to this, then the mapping is successful, right? And the second question could be that if I try to automate this task or help the user solving this problem using AI, are there any potential risk? Are there any biases that can happen? Are there any security issues that can happen? Will I need to take the confidential data from the user to train my model? That's a data privacy concern. If these risks are there and if you are able to manage this risk better, then the answer is yes, then the mapping is successful, right? Likewise, you have to ask these questions and make sure that the mapping happens. In in lot many cases the mapping doesn't happen. That means there is no potential opportunity to use AI to solve that particular problem. That's a method that I personally use, and I advocate. Of course, there are a lot many approaches how one can discover opportunity for AI.
So another question which we have over here is, what capabilities or skills should a person at a senior position in product management acquire to handle AI initiatives?
Can you come again on that? What skills and what was the other one?
What capabilities or skills should a person at a senior position in product management acquire to handle AI initiatives?
Yeah. So, first and foremost, they need to learn this art of identifying the opportunity for AI, right? There is no scientific method to it. That's why I said art. So they need to learn that because as a senior professional, everybody will look up to them to discover opportunities for AI, right? Of course, the ideas and opportunities can come from diverse people. That's completely okay. But as a senior person, you should hold a responsibility of deciding a way to use AI, how to use AI, etc. Right? That's point number one. And second is because if tomorrow something goes wrong with AI, right, you will be accountable, right? So that means you need to focus on identifying potential risks in AI, and you should put mitigation strategies in place. So you should make sure that your team is following responsible AI practices, right? So broadly, these are the two things, and then the most important one is also, as I said, they need to become a bridge between the technology team and the business stakeholders, right? So yeah, I would say these are the three core responsibilities of any senior professional.
So, a follow-up question for this question only. So, as you mentioned that there are a few skills required to be an efficient product manager. As per you, do you think that there is an ideal time duration to acquire these skills, and and if yes, what is it, and how do we do it?
Yeah, it's a very difficult question, I would say. There is no ideal fixed time, but one can learn this within couple of months. Like if you bring back my learning path slide, like after step 3 or step 4, you should be able to start working on AI projects, right? But then step 5 onwards, it's basically helps you to continuously learn it. Now the question is, how long does it take to learn those 4 steps, right? I think one can learn all of this in 2 months. One can learn all of this in 1 month also. But I think learning the best practices, which is step number 4, will probably take a little bit more time because that requires you to talk to different individuals, learn some of the best practices out there, learn some of the AI failure cases also, right? Learn from the bad examples also. That might take some time, but I think once you are done with those initial 3 or 4 steps, you should be able to integrate AI into your products, etc. And then rest of the steps will help you to keep top of the trend and continuously learn this.
Okay. So we'll take up one last question, which is, are there avenues to execute AI projects for learning?
Sorry, are there any avenues?
To execute AI projects for learning?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of sources. Maybe after this call, we can send some sources, some repositories where a lot of these AI projects are reported, right? Um, so one is, see, obviously people want to publish a lot of their best projects, right? The successful projects. But there's also a website called incidents.ai. I think it's aiincidents.com or aiincidents.ai, where people report the bad examples, right? How AI has not worked for them, right? I would suggest that's also a very good website to go and learn, like what kind of issues can come by implementing AI, right? And I very closely monitor that incident.ai website, and I think in one of the slide we have also reported the number of incidents, how it is growing year by year, right? So that's an interesting place to learn from the real projects.
So we'll resume back with our slides then.
Sure. So I think the last section of this session is we want to show you the life cycle management that we have built. Project Tailwind is a community-based initiative where we have some of the AI experts as part of the community. We have spoken to them. We have gathered a lot of insights from them that how they are integrating AI into their products and what has been successful, what has not been successful for them. And based on all of that feedback, we have come up with an operating model for product managers that should give a view that how one should start thinking about AI integrations into the product. Can we move to the next slide? So first and foremost, it is important to define what is a successful AI product might look like. Okay. So I think there are these three criterias that I want to list here. One is that any AI feature that you are building, it should fulfill the user need, right? Whether it should fulfill 100% or partially, whatever it is, right? It should fulfill the user needs, right? You cannot force fit an AI to solve the problem it doesn't exist, right? Because those are not the indication of a successful AI product. So that is the first criteria. The second criteria is that user should be able to learn how to use that feature and adopt it. It should be that easy, right? So you should keep the user profile in mind. You should keep that. You should keep how much we need to explain about AI for them, how much, what is the learning curve for them, etc. And then integrate AI such a way that they are able to learn and adopt. So that is the second feature of a successful AI product. The third one is that users should be able to provide feedback because AI models, AI outcomes, sometimes it may work, it may not work. And whenever it is not working, you should have a mechanism to gather that feedback. And based on that feedback, you should be able to update or optimize your AI models. So that give and take has to be there, right? The user should evolve AI and AI should align with changing user expectations. So when these three things happens in any product, then you can say that there is a successful integration of AI into your products. Now, keeping this success definition, the framework that we have built, can we move to the next slide? Okay, so I think this slide is mainly to give you an idea that what are the basis of that framework, which we're going to talk in the next slide. So we have taken the standard product development framework, which is basically this 5 steps: discover an opportunity for your product or for a feature, design how you want to build that feature or a product, and then develop iteratively, and then deliver it to the users on right time, and then train the users, right? Ensure that user is able to trust your features, etc., and then optimize those features based on the user feedback. The same product development philosophy has been used to build this operating model. Can we move to the next slide? So this operating model has two phases, I would say two space. One is called the problem space, and another is the solution space. Now in the problem phase, which is this first triangle that you see, of course, the discovery means that identifying an opportunity for AI, right? So this has several questions that one needs to answer. One needs to understand who the users are, who the stakeholders are, what are the problems that user has, and which of these problems AI is more suitable to solve, which are the problems that you might have to use the rules, you might have to just solve it differently. So that helps you to answer how AI can uniquely solve the problem, right? That's all part of the discovery. Discovery is all about identifying an opportunity to implement AI. Design is all about building that feasible solution, right? See, design is most important aspect, I would say here, because here you will be able to map AI capabilities with the user need, identify the data needs, right? Once you know that what problem that you are solving, once you know that how you want a model to learn to solve that problem, then you'll be able to discover that what data is required, what data I should feed to the model to learn from the data, right? See, this is a very important approach, Right? A lot of people take completely bottom-up approach. They will see what data that they have, and then they start building the models. But it is very important to see from the user perspective what problems you are solving, how you want to solve that problem, and then to solve that problem, what data is needed. So this is more of a top-down approach, right? And then you'll be able to define the specific objectives or the KRAs for the model, right? How the model should be performing, and what could be the risk and challenges. So all these anticipation will happen in the design phase, right? Then of course you need to build a prototype, test it with the user, standard product development procedures, right? And then you validate it. There are so many different approaches of prototyping AI features, right? In some approaches you may have to quickly build the model, right? So there, without spending a lot of efforts and energy, you can access some of the out of box services and then build them. Importantly, you need to validate this before you go for a large scale production. So that is where the next space comes in, which we call it as solution space. So here you iteratively develop the features, right? Even AI features you can develop iteratively. You can decide how incrementally I should collect the data, how I should choose the models, etc. So that's all part of the development here. Now, for specifically for product managers, how they should engage with the development in the development process, right? Even though the development is done by data science team, done by engineers, but as a product manager, how you can collaborate with them to make this happen, right? Then lastly, delivery. When we say delivery, it's all about how do you enable user to use AI? How do you train them? How do you manage their expectation? How do you calibrate their trust? How do you gather that feedback? Now, once you gather that feedback, the next phase is about optimizing your AI models. You bring back optimizing your AI models, right? So this is all about putting a feature feedback controls, managing the errors, etc. And then the last part is managing these models for sustainable use. Like what I mean by that is, see, till optimize, you can build any digital product, right? But in case of AI products, you need to manage those AI models because the AI models will not perform over time in the consistent manner, right? So they need to be there has to be a monitoring in place. There has to be a retraining of these models based on newer data, right? There has to be this mechanism to come end to end manage the models so that they become more useful over the period of time. So all these 8 phases are part of this framework. Um, and these 8 phases, when it is done systematically, answering these questions that you see on the slide, there is a certain level of assurance that we can provide that there is a success in the AI integration. Thank you so much. That's all I had to cover. Over to you, Gunjan.
So, Project Tailwind is a community led program aimed at enhancing the professional skills and mindsets of working professionals. It focuses on enabling them to learn and incorporate AI into their careers and daily lives. This initiative strives to bridge the gap between AI technology and its practical application, fostering a culture of continuous learning and adaptation in the face of AI advancements. Our workshop titled Designing and Building Successful AI Products and Services is tailored for product managers, AI specialists, product designers, and business leaders who are on the lookout for a solid and systematic blueprint for incorporating AI into new or existing products and services. What matters the most here is that you will get experiential learning and get the opportunity to learn with your peers while getting access to real world projects and an exclusive LinkedIn community. This is an overview of our curriculum, and we also provide handouts and guides with our sessions. Thank you. This would be it for today.
Thank you everyone. Thanks, Gunjan.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Bye bye.